The Benedict Arnold Trail explores Norwich, Connecticut's rich colonial-era history and highlights many of Norwich's significant figures from the Revolutionary War. Additionally, the trail chronicles the childhood of Norwich's most infamous native son. Benedict Arnold was born and raised in Norwich, Connecticut. His childhood was marred by tragedy. By age 20, both of his parents and 3 of his siblings had passed away, leaving himself and his sister Hannah to look out for themselves. Join us as we discover the story of a controversial and complicated man who greatly impacted our nation's history during the Revolutionary War. Benedict Arnold was born in Norwich on January 14, 1741. He was the 5th to claim that name. An elder brother bearing the same name died in infancy in 1739. Benedict Arnold's great-grandfather was governor of Rhode Island, and his father, named Captain Benedict Arnold, and father's brother Oliver moved to Norwich to seek more opportunity. Captain Benedict Arnold married Hannah Waterman in 1733. The couple had 6 children, but tragically only 2 would survive to adulthood. The Arnold family homestead stood on the corner of Arnold Place and Washington Street in Norwich, but unfortunately it no longer exists. Hannah Arnold's connections to the founding families of Norwich and Captain Arnold's early success as a merchant while holding various town office positions brought respect and prominence to the Arnold family name. Young Benedict's early years were consumed with incessant warfare, virulent epidemics, and religious conflict within his community. In contrast, his home life was harmonious and supportive. His mother, Hannah Waterman Arnold, nurtured her children with a gentle but firm hand and instructed her son,
"Always choose that your companion be your betters, that by their good example you may learn."
Arnold first attended school in Montville, but in 1752, he was sent to a private school in Canterbury, Connecticut under Dr. James Cogswell, with the expectation that he would ultimately attend Yale College. Norwich historian Francis Calkins describes young Benedict as
bold, enterprising, ambitious, active as lightning, and with a ready wit at command.
There are many stories detailing Arnold's mischievous boyhood antics in Norwich. One story claimed that he and his friends stole tar barrels from the landing to add to the traditional Thanksgiving bonfire in the Bean Hill section of Norwich. When confronted by the constable, Arnold threw off his coat and challenged the constable to fight. Benedict enjoyed exploring the warehouses and his father's trading vessels moored at Chelsea Landing and swimming in the pools beneath Uncas Leap. Some records indicate Benedict mustered and marched up to Albany during the French and Indian War, but he never saw any action. The close-knit Arnold family suffered a series of tragic losses. Benedict lost his brother Absalom in 1750 due to an illness, April 4, 1747 to July 22, 1750. Then, in 1753, a deadly epidemic swept through Norwich while he was away at school and claimed many victims, including 2 of Benedict's younger sisters, Mary, June 4, 1745 to September 10, 1753, and Elizabeth, November 19, 1749 to September 29, 1753. They died 19 days apart from each other. Benedict's sister Hannah was the only child at home to survive the epidemic. Following the devastating loss of his children in 1753, Captain Arnold's drinking began to affect his business and family's financial welfare. With his father out of work and continuing to abuse alcohol, the family could no longer afford Benedict's private schooling. At 14 years old, he was forced to drop out of school, ending any hope of receiving a gentleman's education.
What we have here is one of our original account books from the Leffingwell family. This dates to about the mid-1700s. The Leffingwells did a lot of business with the Arnold family at this time, and we can learn a lot about what that business looked like by reading some of these entries. Some of the early entries we have here are from about 1752, where the Arnold family are doing a number of different types of transactions with the Leffingwells, everything from making shoes to repairing shoes. Leffingwells even are transporting goods and commodities of all types down to the landing, possibly to send out on one of Captain Arnold's many ships that he had. And as we fast forward a little bit, we have some later entries in this account book from about 1757 all the way through up 1762. And there's still quite a number of entries, but not nearly as much business is happening because Captain Arnold had squandered most all of the family fortune by this time. And so all of the entries that we see are very basic tasks, such as the selling of wood to the Arnold family. So it's a particularly bad period for the family at this time.
The Arnold family suffered privately and publicly because of Captain Arnold's alcoholism. The family normally held a seat near the front of the Congregational Church, symbolizing their prominence within the community. Yet over the years, they found themselves literally pushed farther back until they were resigned to the upstairs gallery, designed for Norwich's impoverished residents. Captain Arnold's ill health prevented him from teaching his son the family mercantile business, so Benedict's mother, Hannah, secured an apprenticeship for him with her cousins, Dr. Daniel and Joshua Lathrop, who operated a successful apothecary shop. Benedict apprenticed in Norwich with the Lathrop brothers from 1754 to 1761, and he impressed them with his skill. Benedict was made their junior business associate in New Haven and sent him on trading voyages to the West Indies and London, where he gained valuable experience as a mariner, merchant, and businessman. On August 15, 1759, Hannah Waterman King Arnold died at the age of 51 due to a mysterious illness and some claim a broken heart. The epitaph on her tombstone, written by her son, reads,
"In memory of Hannah, the well-beloved wife of Captain Benedict Arnold and the daughter of Dr. John and Mrs. Elizabeth Waterman. She was a pattern of piety, patience, and virtue."
Benedict was now responsible for his sickly father and his younger sister Hannah while still apprenticing with the Lathrop brothers. Benedict's father died in 1761, virtually penniless and without honor. The following year, with the assistance of the Lathrop brothers, Benedict and his sister Hannah packed their belongings and moved to New Haven, putting their childhood years in Norwich behind them forever. In New Haven, Benedict became a prominent apothecary and bookseller. He personally commanded many of his trading vessels and became a captain in the New Haven militia. He fought tirelessly to restore honor to his name, yet his wounded pride and determined ambition brought about even more pain and turmoil to his life in the American Revolution leading up to his ultimate treason. Revolutionary War veterans and Norwich locals largely distanced themselves from Benedict, even conjuring up additional stories about his past to discredit his military accomplishments. Allegedly, after news of Benedict Arnold's treason reached Norwich in 1780, angry citizens descended into the burying ground, removed the grave markers of his father and brother, and likely pitched them into the Antic River, thus removing all association with the name Benedict Arnold. His sister Hannah was buried in Canada, and Benedict Arnold himself is buried in St. Mary's Church, Battersea, in London, with his second wife Peggy and daughter Sophia. In recent years, Arnold has seen a small resurgence in pop culture and other media where his life has undergone a second look. His life spanned the spectrum from hero to traitor, and here in Norwich, his story continues. Thank you for tuning in to this video. If you'd like to learn more, we encourage you to visit the Leffingwell House Museum in Norwich, Connecticut, or explore the Benedict Arnold Trail for yourself by checking out walknorwich.org.